Saxon Algebra 1/2, lesson 48. This lesson comes with a story. All right, first let me tell you what the math is about, and then I'll tell you a story about one of my students. Up until now, we have spent a lot of time talking about fractions in the context of pizzas. And we've often used a pizza to illustrate, for example, let's say thirds. Okay, we said here's one whole pizza, and then when we divide it up into thirds, each group is 1/3, right? Each piece of that pizza is 1/3. So we've divided up the whole, right, into thirds. But what if we want to divide something that isn't just one? What if we had a bunch of personal pizzas? What if we had, let me make it hard on myself, 18 personal pizzas? Right? In this case, your mom told you you could have 1/3 of the pizzas, and that's how much you got, right? But what if instead of one big Costco-sized pizza, your mom had 18 personal pizzas? And she told you again that you got to have 1/3 of them. Well, I made it really easy to figure out what your share is because I put them in 3 rows. But you would say 1/3 of 18 personal pizzas means I get 6, right? Does that make sense? And instead of putting an equal sign, let me write the word. 1/3 of 18 personal pizzas is 6. Now you could debate that that's a fair share for you, but if you accept your mother's dictate that you're going to get 1/3, then you know that that's 6. Kids are really good at these calculations that have siblings. If you're an only child, which I think, Alexis, you're an only child, maybe, but you've shared before. If anytime you're sharing food, you get really good at this whole kind of calculation, all right? So when we're dividing up one thing, we just divide it and you just get that fraction. But if we're dividing lots of little pieces, then we need to do a calculation. And the calculation that we use to do is based on this little sentence. And we say f times of equals is. The f represents the fraction. In our story, it was 1/3. That was how much you got. Of represents the total group. The 18 personal pizzas. The is the special group. And in this case, it's the pizzas you get to eat. So we can take the words that we use to describe this, 1/3 of 18 is 6, and we can turn it into a formula that will work for lots of scenarios like this, where we are dividing not a single unit up, but we're dividing a group of things up. The total group is being divided, and we want to know what the special group is. So we're going to start working on problems that use this strategy, problems where we're dividing up a bunch of things. Actually, these problems get a lot easier when we have words to go with them. At first, we're just going to do numbers. But when we get into little stories, like personal pizzas, it becomes a lot easier to understand what's going on. So, and we'll be doing this for a long time. I just taught a lesson like this to the Algebra 1 guys that was taking it to a higher level. So we'll keep building on this for quite a while. But I want to tell you about this formula. So this formula never really had a name. John calls it the fractional parts of a number. Ugh, that's boring. I don't want to say, oh, you guys, do you know your fractional parts of a number formula? Ew. So I was always looking for a better name for it. And I always just called it f times of equals is, which, that is the formula. It's not a name for it. That's boring. Well, many years ago, I had a student whose name is Scotty. Scotty is now, I think he's 30 by now. Yeah, he's 30. He's married. He has a baby. Her name's Elise. She's, I don't know, a year and a half, something like that. He was my student when he was in 7th grade. And you know what? When he was in 7th grade, he loved to be a bad boy. And he didn't swear or say really horrible things because he was a good boy. But he kind of just liked to be edgy. You know what I mean? You probably know guys like that. They just want to push it a little bit. They're not going to really be bad. They're the kind of boys that like roll up a piece of paper and pretend it's a cigarette or something like that. You know what I mean? They're harmless, but they like to pretend to be bad. And Scotty had a really natural gift for math, but he liked to act like he didn't like it. You know what I'm talking about, right? He would just kind of, okay, fine, I'll do it. And he could never remember this formula when I was teaching him, and he'd always struggled to remember it. And one day I was like, okay, Scotty, what's that formula we need for this problem? And he goes, oh, it's that freaking formula I can never remember. And suddenly the skies parted and the angels appeared, and I knew that this was destined to be called the frickin' formula. He didn't swear. He said frickin', not the bad word that is associated with that. But I love it. It's the frickin' formula. It just is that to me now. Now, in some families, this word is discouraged because it's kind of like a stand-in for a considerably less socially acceptable word. So if your family frowns on frickin', then just call it the chicken formula. That works for me too. But I'm going to say frickin' because, you know, I'm edgy and out there too. So let's practice using this. And the whole time we'll remember Scotty, the originator of the frickin' formula. Ready? Here we go. Make sure you write this in your book cover. I'll write it down again here. It's F times of equals is. F represents the fraction. Of represents the total group, the 18 personal pizzas. Is represents the special group. And in our example, it was your share. Okay? That's the formula that we will use. What fraction, this is the first example, and there are 4. 48.1. What fraction of 75 is 25? Now, here's the way we do it. We take the problem and we write notes on it, and that will set up our problem for us. So I'm going to write this in shorthand. Watch what I do. What fraction of 75 is 25? Look at how the words and the numbers go together. And I'm going to point an arrow at the part of the words that has the question. Can you see that this is the of number? We'll plug it in there. This is the is number. We'll plug it in there. This is the question, what fraction? That means we'll leave the variable here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write what fraction times 75, that's the of number, is 25. The words and the formula flow together, and we can use it to easily translate from words to numbers. Oh, it's so good. Once you get the hang of it, you'll love it. Now all we have to do is solve this. Here we're multiplying. This is our variable we want to solve for. We're multiplying by 75. Let's divide by 75, both sides. That cancels. This reduces, right, to 1 over 3. And we can write, I'm just going to write this over here so I don't have to recopy the whole thing. So if your mom had 75 personal pizzas and told you that you got 25 of them, you could, and you could probably do this in your head, you could easily see that represented 1/3. She was giving you 1/3. And if you have a total of 4 kids in your family, you could say, oh, I'm getting way more than my share. I'm good with that. All right, so that's what this is really helpful for, is dividing up groups of things. Let's try another one. And let me make a point to you. We can see, based on the formula, there are 3 different places where we plug information in. What John does in these problems is he'll give us 2 of the 3, but he'll mix it up as to which one is missing. So in this first example, we were missing the fraction. Let's try another one and see what we're missing. This time he says 5/7 of what number is 5/2. Okay? One thing I want to say is that it's okay to have 2 letters for a variable. We can do it however we want. We just pretend it's 1. It's just a little package of 2 letters. But we treat it just like it's a single one. Don't let that freak you out. This one is also trickier because this first one, that one you could probably do in your head. You could probably see, oh yeah, 25 times 3 is 75, so that represents 1/3. This one's a little trickier because it's fractions, but that's okay, we can do it. This is the way I wrote down the problem. I just read it to myself. 5/7 of what number is 5/2? Okay, now, which one's the fraction? We've got 2 fractions, but we can say this must be the is number, and this is the of number, so this must be the actual fraction for our formula. So we're going to write 5/7 times what number is 5/2. That's tricky because we had 2 fractions. But this one's right next to the word is, so we're good. All right, now here comes another little spin that we often get in these problems. We're multiplying our variable times this. We want our variable alone, so the rule is we divide, right? But look what happens if we divide by 5/7. Okay, well that cancels, so we're good with that. But do you really want to create this? I don't think you do. I don't think you want to try to simplify that. We are going to learn how to simplify that, but we're not there yet. So this is not the way we want to go. That will make us all crazy. What we're going to do instead is we're going to use the fabulous tool we have called the reciprocal. If we multiply this fraction by its reciprocal, which, you just flip it, look what's going to happen. 5 times 7 is 35. 7 times 5 is 35. 35/35 equals 1. And that just, poof, disappears because 1 times anything is just that thing back again. So when we multiply by the reciprocal, we can make these fractions go away with a lot less drama than multiplying. Or dividing, rather. The only problem is we have to do it to both sides. But that's okay, right? Because that's the reciprocal we multiplied by. So we have to do it over here as well, or Hannah Cranny's going to come and report us to the injustice police. And we do not want that. So this is all gone. We turned it into a 1, and we just have this left. Now we need to simplify over here, and we're done. I see that we can cancel before we multiply. And I'll tell you what, you guys, John is the champ of making these problems turn out to be something nice. So this stage is really great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my variable over here so I don't have to rewrite my answer. And there we go. I should be checking, shouldn't I? This was 1/3. And this is 7/2. Yay! Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so here we had the variable in the second place. 5/7 of 5/2 is what number? Okay, once again, we have 2 fractions, so we can start to freak out and go, but which one goes in the front? This one says of. That's the of number. The is number is where the mystery is. That is the fraction. So using this, I'm going to go 5/7 times 5/2 equals what number? These are the easiest ones of all because we don't have to do any algebra, right? The numbers are all on one side and the letters are on the other. No reciprocals, no drama. We just calculate and we multiply. There's nothing we can reduce in this one. So I'm just going to write the answer over here. It's going to be 25 over 14. Again, once we step into more complicated problems, your ability to do these in your head is going to quickly evaporate, because I bet you couldn't have done that just in your head. So learn the process and it's easy. Okay, one more. Ready? This is right. What number is 7/9 of 450? Okay. What number is 7/9 is our fraction, and there's our of number. Okay, so I better flip. I'll copy it. I'll copy what I wrote. What number is 7/9 of 450? And what number is, that's our is number. This is our fraction, and there's our of number. All right? So, there's our formula. And so we go 7/9 times 450. I'll put it over 1 equals what number? Yay, 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 yay. And now all we have to do is simplify this. 9 goes into 45 5 times, so this would be 50, right? And that goes to a 1. And then all once the denominators are both 1s, we know there's nothing more we can do. 7 times 50 would be 350. So 7/9 of 450 equals 350. Yay! We are done with lesson 48. Notice that the practice problems look just like the ones we were just doing, okay? You have everything you need to succeed. This concludes our new math lessons for the year 2020. On Friday, I will chat with you, but next Monday, December 14th, I will send you the link to a video. It will not be a new lesson. It will be a review for the test. I will talk to you about what you need to study, how to study, and what you can do to prepare for the lesson. But I'm going to spoil that. I'm going to tell you right now, the most important thing you can do to prepare for the test is do your homework to the best of your abilities. Pay attention, work it through, try your hardest, work neatly, show your work just the way that I do, right? Don't show more, don't show less. And really put your effort into making your work legible and clear so that I will be able to follow what you're doing. If I don't understand it, I can't give you credit for it, okay? So show your work just the way I do and make sure it's legible, all right? And one thing I want to remind you of, exponents, it's very important to be neat with, all right? Your exponents have to relate to the base in such a way that I can tell that's an exponent. If your exponents get big and sloppy, this looks like 32 to me. This looks like 3 squared, okay? So be very clear with your exponents, okay? Be neat, be precise, help me see that that's an exponent, because if it even looks something like this, I can't give you credit for that because it's too messy. All right? So, I am I am a bundle of contradictions. When it comes to testing, I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm not trying to make it harder than your homework. I want you to be in a situation where you can thrive and show me your best work. Show me what you understand. But at the same time, I'm not going to tolerate sloppy little mistakes like that. And I'm not going to award points for students who don't show their work. So I'm good cop, bad cop, all wrapped in one math teacher. Aren't you lucky? Okay, that's enough for now. I'm going to go. Lesson 48. Yay, you're done. Bye.